So I'm on my way back to the aft cockpit, and I'm going to give you a bit of a tour of our engine room. We are anchored in Louisa. I'm now in the aft cockpit. You can see our door hatch that goes into our aft cabin. And so we'll just hop into the engine room and take a look at how things are laid out. So for starters, the engine room is accessible behind these or below these three panels. We have V-drive engines, so the engines are right at the back of the boat. So all three of these panels will remove so that you can access both engines very easily. There's a nice ladder for getting downstairs. I have quite a bit of stuff down here stored, including an oil extractor for the generator and for the dinghy, as well as some clean oil. And then this is an empty oil bin for storage of dirty oil. It's fairly easy to change the oil in these engines. There are these little pumps that allow us to extract the oil, and then we can open up the oil reservoir valve here and pour in the new oil. Our filters are relatively accessible down here and back over here. And the same on this side. Even though the engines are sort of mirror images of one another, the fuel filters are all center access, which is quite convenient. These engines are Cummins engines. They're 330 horsepower each for a total of 660 horsepower that we've got in the engine room. And with that, we're able to go, we like to run it around 8 knots, but we do, we are capable of going 12 to 15 knots, depending on how much you want to spend on fuel that day. This is our Glendenning engine synchronizer, which allows us to synchronize our engines when we're underway. These are our engine batteries underneath that anchor rod and the spare stern anchor that we've got in here. We have various cables and breakers and such like that down here. This 150 amp breaker here goes to our bow thruster, and then back here there's an 80 amp breaker, and that is for our dinghy davit system. These two breakers here are the control breakers for our engine batteries, and they're connected to the Victron shore power that's available to us in the engine room over here. I do try to keep my fuel filters and oil filters documented so that I know when they were last replaced. I check my oil levels right here, and then over here I keep an eye on the fluids for the heat exchanger and keeping the coolant level proper for the engine. Try to check the engine oil and coolant levels every day that we're going to go underway, and make sure that they are okay. But this is the knuckle joint that connects the two shafts. You can see the upper shaft coming from the engine to the V drive, and then to the knuckle, and then the lower portion down below is the shaft going back to the propellers. I keep a lot of oil pads handy, just in case I have an oil spill, or if I need to clean something up, or if I'm checking my oil, then I want to have an oil pad. And I generally leave a dirty one over here with my the hose that connects to the ends on the oil exchange pumps, so that I'm able to keep any messy oil contained or controlled. Lastly, I'm going to spin around and we'll show you that in addition to the fuel filters that are on board the engine themselves, we have these pre-filters which are called Raycor, and they control the level of dirt that is going to get into the engine. These are 10 micron filters, and so the fuel is running through these pre-filters before it ever gets to the engine. And then there's a finer filter once it arrives to the engine, so that once the fuel is going into to actually be burned, it's been cleaned twice.